Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back once again to the Aura News broadcast for our daily English news edition. I'm Daniel Cook, your host, Monday through Saturday, presenting a translated version of today's top news stories. The National Conference of Judges has published a resolution on the justice reform, asking the stakeholders involved in the process to draft a clear and functional model. A day after the head of the Supreme Court and the Prosecutor General spoke out against an experimental approach to the reform, the resolution of the Conference of Judges highlights that the reform needs to be focused on a simple and solid constitutional and legal framework. A portion of the resolution reads, "It is important to adopt the international standards in the judicial system and to refer to the models and systems that have proven to be effective and successful. The judicial reform should be focused on a simple, clear, solid, and functional constitutional and legal framework." The conference raised the concern that the judicial system has problems that are hampering the effectiveness of justice. These problems are related to the quality of judicial decisions, inappropriate work conditions, delay of judicial processes, and the low level of public trust in the justice system. The U.S. Ambassador Donald Liu wrote today on Facebook that the situation of corruption in Albania is changing. He encouraged the Albanian people not to allow the politicians to control the anti-corruption initiative. The ambassador writes, "The changing of Albania will begin with new laws for decriminalization, a national office of investigations, and the judicial reform. Corrupt judges and prosecutors should be dismissed and legally prosecuted. Incriminated politicians should not be allowed to be party leaders, to be parliament members, or to hold public offices. Corrupt ministers, both current and previous, should be held accountable for their crimes. The Albanian people should demand this." When asked to give specific names of incriminated leaders, the ambassador had this to say, "These people do not support the judicial reform. They spend their time stealing your money." The U.S. ambassador also expressed the hope that the electoral reform will make the parties more democratic. The other questions addressed to the ambassador were full of discontent regarding the current political class. And the message of the ambassador to the Albanians was this: if you are not content with your leaders, you have two choices: to cooperate with those who are in power, or to wait for the upcoming elections and to vote for change. I also have my doubts about some of the members of the parliament and their will to support the reform, but I believe that the change is possible with public pressure," said Mr. Liu. The foreign ministers of the European Union are expected to adopt the conclusions for Albania. The Council welcomes the steady progress made by Albania in addressing the key priorities for the opening of negotiations, in particular, the public administration reform and the preparation for a thorough reform of the justice system. The Council encourages Albania to continue with its efforts. The Council recalls that the opening of accession negotiations will be considered by the European Council, in line with the established practice once the Commission has assessed that Albania has achieved the necessary degree of compliance with the membership criteria. Recalling its earlier conclusions, including those of June 2014, the Council reiterates that a sustained, comprehensive, and inclusive implementation of the key priorities has to be ensured. The Council notes that further efforts on these key priorities will be required, in particular the adoption of the judicial reform package, as well as further progress with a view to establishing a solid track record of proactive investigations, prosecutions, and final convictions at all levels in the fight against corruption and organized crime, including the fight against arms and drug trafficking. The Council underlines that the justice reform is key to forward movement in Albania's EU succession process, and it could be transformative for other reforms. The Council looks forward to the adoption and implementation of legislation that will exclude criminal offenders from public office, which should enhance citizens' trust in their political representatives and the public institutions. The Council reiterates that Albania should pursue economic reforms that are aimed at increasing the competitiveness, and they encourage Albania to continue addressing the high level of informality in the economy. Albania is also encouraged to improve the business and investment environment, in which further efforts are needed. In a meeting that was held today to present a document on reducing the problem of overcrowding in the prisons, The British ambassador Nicholas Cannon said that the prisons are holding far too many minor criminals. The British ambassador views the overcrowding of prisons as being a big concern. But according to him, it is even more concerning that people who have committed more serious crimes are still at large and free. He suggested that people who commit energy theft should not be sentenced to prison time, but should be given alternative punishments instead. Mr. Cannon said, "The Albanian courts have a variety of alternative punishments at their disposal, but they are rarely used. It is concerning that people who committed minor offenses are sentenced to prison time. The prisons are overcrowded with these people, instead of utilizing them to imprison people who have committed more serious crimes. In Albania, imprisonment for energy theft should be very rare," declared the British ambassador. Present at the meeting, the OSCE ambassador Florian Raunig expressed the same attitude. According to him, the overcrowding problem can be resolved if the government stops trying to solve social problems through imprisonment. He had this to say: "Prison should be the last resort. Prison cannot solve all the problems in the justice system, and detentions can have a destructive effect. In some cases, probation is more efficient than prison. We recommend alternative punishments. Probation rehabilitates the violators of the law," said Mr. Raunig. The Minister of Justice, Ili Manjani, also encouraged the use of probation. He said, "The criminal policy should have its rules and principles, and along with the Prosecutor General, we aim to build a strict criminal policy based on the interests of the law. Yesterday, I called the judges to make use of probation as a penalty. It is a new and modern service, and it works," said Mr. Manjani. According to recent data from the Ministry of Justice, overcrowding in prisons has significantly increased since 2012. Retirees and needy people will be getting a holiday financial aid bonus from the government. The chairman of the Economic Commission, Erion Brace, has said that soon the ministries will publicize the categories of people that will benefit from this bonus and the amount that they will receive. He said that the bonuses will be approximately the same as they were a year ago, and he made the following statement: "As far as I know, the Ministry of Social Welfare and the Ministry of Finance are reviewing the issue, and I believe that the government will have good news for the retired, for the invalids, and other groups who belong to the categories that receive social assistance." He also spoke about holiday bonuses for the employees of the public administration, saying that they will be distributed based upon performance. He went on, "Last year, we did not reward all the employees of the public administration. We gave bonuses only to the employees of some sectors, like education, health, environment, and the state police. The reward was given based upon their performance. I think that we should fulfill our obligations to the needy and to the category of people who achieve the best results in the services they offer to the citizens. There will no longer be bonuses for everyone," he said. Last year, retired people, the disabled, and families that are subsisting on economic aid received a holiday financial aid bonus of 3,000 old lek. The review of the 2016 budget was discussed at today's meeting of the Economic Commission. The opposition criticized the government for the significant reduction of investments, and the former Minister of Finance, Ridvan Bode, blamed the government for the shortage of revenue during the year. He also accused the government of reducing the investment funds by 4.5 billion lek. The chairman of the commission, Erion Brace, announced that the government will not be purchasing any luxury vehicles for government members. The commission adopted all the articles of the draft for 2016, which will come to a vote in Parliament during the plenary session on Thursday. The opposition protest will be held on that same day. Mr. Brace announced that the protest of the opposition has nothing to do with the budget. According to him, the protest is all about the justice reform. The opposition parties of Kosovo held a meeting today and decided to organize a popular protest on January 9th in Pristina. They declared that imprisoning their MPs will not stop them from protesting until the agreements with Serbia and Montenegro are repealed and the country returns to normality. They issued a call to the police and to the judiciary not to fall prey to political orders. The leaders of the opposition parties announced that they will not stop their efforts until their very last MPs are arrested. They did not say what they are planning to do in Thursday's plenary session, when Kosovo's President Atifete Yahyaga is expected to address the MPs. The leader of the Alliance for the Future of Kosovo simply said that they will speak about that at another moment. That concludes our edition for this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching, and please join us again tomorrow at the same time. Have a good night.